Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Denise, and today I want to show you how Digimap for Schools brings biodiversity and local habitats to life in an engaging, visual, and hands-on way. This isn't meant to be an ecology lesson. It is about simple, creative ways that you can engage your any age group to explore the nature on their doorsteps with Digimap for Schools. So we are not going to go globally today. We are going to be working in the surroundings of our own school, our own community. So think about the habitats within a kilometer of your school, or something like parks, ponds, woodland, even a roadside verge, and how easily you can investigate them. And if you can't get outside, no problem. You can explore it all from the classroom with Digimap for Schools as well. Biodiversity starts right where you are. Even urban areas have a surprising range of habitats. And today with Digimap for Schools, I will show you how you can help pupils to zoom to your school's postcode or nearby green space, switch between OS map and aerial views, observe changes through time and annotate what they find, and use it to ask them what lives here, how does human activity affect it? The aim is simple: spark curiosity and support inquiry-based learning. And I will show you also how you can link that to the curriculum. Because biodiversity and mapping fit beautifully into multiple subject areas. In England, it connects to science, living things and their habitats, and to geography. In Wales, it fits within science and technology and humanities. And in Scotland, it links with social studies and science, particularly people, place, and environment, and biodiversity and interdependence. It's a great example of interdisciplinarity, where geography meets science and technology. You can also tie it into citizenship by discussing stewardship and how we protect our local environment. Let's look at the main tools that Digimap for Schools has for you and that they are quite powerful for exploring habitats. First, the aerial imagery. This allows the students to spot real natural features such as woodlands, rivers, and ponds right from the classroom. The drawing tools, they let them outline habitats or zones and label species. The measuring tool is great for working out of the size of a park or how close a pond is to nearby roads, for example. And finally, the map selector allows us to switch between modern and historical maps, perfect for discussing how land use and habitats have changed over time. I can now leave a little from the presentation and show you because I was looking at the questionnaire and I can see lots of people are new to Digimap for Schools. So I just want to quickly demonstrate how you can do that. So your map is in the center and you can zoom in to your map. I'm not going to give you an overview of all the tools in Digimap for Schools today because we have a specific training for that. And our next Getting Started with Digimap for Schools training is on the 11th of November. You can register for that. And there I will be showing you all the functionalities, all the tools from Digimap for Schools one by one. Today, our topic is biodiversity and local habitats. So I will try to focus mostly on that, and I will show you only the tools that I think we could use to achieve an interesting activity for the students with Digimap for Schools. I will just zoom, and to zoom, you just scroll your little scrolling wheel on your mouse, or you can use the bar here to zoom in and out in your Digimap for Schools. Campus Hill Community Primary School, which is a school that is quite close to a lot of habitats. So I didn't choose a specific place. You will, of course, work on your school. I just zoomed into the map and I found a few schools that I can work with. And you can see most of the schools, they will offer some green, some water, some woodland nearby, and you can explore that with your students. We are in Marriott's school or Bedwell Primary School, it doesn't really matter. But let's imagine that I'm going to explore the habitat with my students. I can use the Digimap for School tools to work on that. So I can identify green areas, I can identify where there is water, and I can even go farther and look at the key and open the key here. And when I look for landforms, I will find some attributes that I can find here in the map. And if I look for general features, I will find other features as well. I can find types of buildings that are around vegetation, and that's what I'm looking for. Here's where I'm going to stop at the moment. So I can identify what type of vegetation I'm looking at, if it's grass, if it is non-coniferous woodland, if it's coniferous woodland. So the symbols are here, the key is here, and you can explore, you can help your students identify what they are seeing in their map. And you can also go outside and look and then come to the map and identify what they have just seen. They can add images here, they can add pictures to show, to demonstrate what they have just looked at. So you can measure, like for example, how far is my school to the ash tree woods, for example. So what you would do, you would use the drawing tools, which is right here, and get to draw a line. So let me draw a line from my school, and I'm going to the road, around the road, click, leave, all the way to this park here, double click to finish, and I will go to the measurement to click, and then click on the line I just created, and I will measure the distance from my school to this park. If my school is not too close to a park, I can measure the best ways to get to the park. For example, I can go through the roads that pass by the houses. And I can measure how big the river is. So that is a lake, the main lake. So that is actually a few lakes, weirs and lakes. And I can measure them as well. I can either use a buffer tool to measure, a point buffer, and I determine the radius. Let me just guess 10 meters. And when I click in the center, which is more than 10 meters, I can just delete what I've done because it's not good enough. And I'm going to go back to the radius and add, let's say, 50 meters. Now I can measure my area as well. So I can do a lot of things with my Digimap for schools. I can measure the distance, I can measure the area of a building, the area of a lake, and use that to compare, to study. I can measure the area of a woodland place, for example, so I can use the shapes, and I will draw a polygon. So there are various shapes you can use. You can, for the line, for the buffer, for every tool, most of the tools I have here, I can change the settings. So my buffer was purple. I don't want my polygon to be purple. I will just change the color into pink. And I will change the line as well. I can change the color of the line, how solid it is, if I want a dotted line, a dashed line, and so on. And what I can do is I can click, walk away, click, walk away, click, walk away, and measure roughly my woodland, and then go to the classroom and discuss with the students what you can do there. You can go around with the students around the school and identify a place where they can draw a lake, for example. So I can even go to the GP overlays. The overlays are something I'm not going to show you today. As I said, come back on the 11th of November and I will show you all the other overlays we have here. I have one that is specific for what I want now. It's the coloring in. The coloring in needs to be zoomed quite a lot, so I'm zooming a little more. It is now green. And when I click on coloring in, my whole map is going to go white. So that is a good opportunity for students who want you take them out and then come back and they can go and color in and create their own maps and create their own activities. So I have here the school. I have this area in the school where I can plan, I can create a project with my students and go to the drawing tools again. And I want a pond for my frogs, my tadpoles. So I'm going to click here and design a pond. I don't like that it is pink, the same color as here. I can always go and change the color as well. I just need to select, click. I wasn't intending to go in all these details, but I've saw lots of people I've seen lots of people in the chat who want a refresher of the functionalities and the tools in Digimap for schools. That's why I'm showing how to change colors and everything. So that is a pond. And I can also create here a place for a Bugs Hotel or a place for a hedgehog house and create my own habitat in this school. This is quite suitable for the younger students who will have a lot of excitement in creating their own little ecological center, little habitats around the school. So they can come first and plan it in the school grounds using the Digimap for schools. And then they can save their activities as well. They can save what they have just created. Let me go back here and untick this so that the color is back. So I've saved here a few activities that I've done with the students. You can do the same, so you can always come back and check and analyze. When I click on what I've saved, I will be offered to replace drawings or merge drawings. Because I have different areas, I will just replace drawings. I'm not merging them, but I can do that. So if you have two different groups in the school that are working in the same area, you can give them separate activities. One group is going to measure one part of the park, the other one another park, or one is going to do the measurement, the other one is going to do the suggestions of what should be there, or what they think that exists there. And you can merge the drawings as well. I have here Art to Sit in Edinburgh, and I've done a lot of marking here. I added labels, so I went to my drawing tools and I can analyze my map. I can decide what I'm going to write. I can measure, I can draw lines, I can draw circles, I can play with the transparency of my drawings. I can label, I can add markers and change the colors and the shape of my markers so that each one will be categorized. So I create my own legend for the map, and I can go and discuss in classroom as well. And I can, as I said, I can add another drawing. So if I go here to Artusit 2 and I open, this time I'm merging drawings. Here I have added a little more. I have used the drawing tools to add some buildings and name them. So I have the palace, the government buildings, leisure center, school. So I have a school very close to a mountain, and it is a brilliant opportunity for the students to study, to identify wildlife, to describe wildlife, to go and run with it and work with it with their peers. Moving on, back to the presentation, and I can also use the historical maps. I'm going to show that one to you now. Here I have Milton Keynes map, and if I go and open Milton Keynes, I will replace my drawings this time because it's a different area again. What I've done here, I took the buffer tool and I just created a circle on what I looked at the map. I went to map selector, clicked on the historical map. The slider here will allow me to transit between one decade to another. I can just click on the bottom as well, and it will work in the same way. So in 1890s, Milton Keynes, that is a little village. So all I've done is to create a buffer and identify where Milton Keynes was in the 1890s. And then when I go back to the contemporary map, I can see that Milton Keynes has grew a lot. Let me zoom a little so you have a better notion of what I'm showing you. So that is the size I can see Milton Keynes now. And you can go and measure the area and discuss the growth. There are cities like Oxford, which didn't grow so much in the past 2 centuries. There are lots of developments outside of Oxford, but Oxford itself didn't grow as fast as Milton Keynes. So you can discuss, you can analyze, you can compare with your students what happens if a city grows too much, too fast. What happens to the habitat? Is there a planning in place? What are the consequences for the wildlife, for example? That's something you can discuss with your students as well. Here is how this could look in a primary classroom. So pupils can use Digimap to zoom in on their school and local area. They identify places like parks, fields, ponds, and rivers, and then draw and label them. For each location, they can add annotation, like there is a pond here, what animals, what wildlife am I expecting to see here? Frogs, ducks. There is a woodland, what am I expecting to see here? Birds, the squirrels. Afterwards, discuss why certain animals live where they do, linking to adaptation and habitats. As an extension, take a local walk, collect observations, and create a classroom display combining printed maps and photos. As I said, if you have an iPad, you can go and take pictures as well and add to the map. You can use the add your own images to the map. And how might it work with your students? How do you think you can, use the map to show your students how to explore the wildlife around the school? You can definitely use Digimap for schools to make it more entertaining with all the tools that we have there for you. And here's a good primary level example using Butte Park and the River Taff in Cardiff. So this area has everything, woodland, grassland, and river habitats, all in one space. Pupils can use the drawing tools to outline the park boundaries, to label where they might find ducks, robins, and oak trees, and the measuring tool to calculate the width of the river within the park, identify the walking path using the key tool and measure it as well. This is perfect for younger pupils because it's visual and creative. They can color code habitats and even add symbols for wildlife as well. Just to summarize what you can do with primary schools, there is a couple of alternative here, a couple of activities you can do indoors. You can start by having pupils search their school postcode and explore the area in the aerial view. Ask them to identify different natural features, perhaps a nearby park, a pond or garden, and label them. They can work in pairs or measure habitats, areas, or distance between green spaces. They love playing detective, so you can encourage them to go and investigate, to be the Sherlock Holmes of the school. Outdoors, once pupils understand what habitat look like on the map, you can take them outside to explore. They can use printed Digimap pages and extract notes where they find plants, insects, or animal signs, link feathers or footprints. If you have access to iPads or tablets or any device that you can take outside to take pictures, as I said, you can take pictures and combine with your map. So moving to secondary, for secondary students, we can go deeper, exploring how human activity impacts biodiversity. They can measure and compare habitat size, calculate proximity to roads or housing, and annotate where biodiversity might be higher or lower. They can discuss why and brainstorm ways to improve or protect this space. It will develop spatial analysis, critical thinking, and real-world problem solving among your students. So here is an example. So I took Chorlton Water Park in Manchester. It is surrounded by dense housing and roads. There is a big road passing through the park, not only one, and there is the river as well. Students can use aerial imagery to compare the park's green areas with the surrounding urban zones. The measuring tool helps them quantify, for example, measuring the park's area or its distance from a main road. This kind of activity sparks valuable questions. How does proximity to housing influence biodiversity? Which species might thrive here and which might struggle? Another example that I have here is Fryston Park, where you can see how housing development surrounded the park through time. Here I have all three maps from the 1890s on the top right, the contemporary map on the bottom in the center, and an aerial view on the top left. And you get all three images from the map selector you can choose. So you can see how it was in 1890s, and there was virtually no houses there. It was a forest. The forest then gave way to housing development, and you can analyze with your students how wildlife struggles or what happens when a city takes over a forest, for example. But not everything is lost. Just a little farther, a little north from that park, we have Fryston Country Park. It is an area that's undergone significant renovation after industrial use. So formerly part of the Fryston Colliery area. This landscape underwent major restoration, and in 2005 it was restored, and now it features woodland, grassland, riverbank habitats with visible traces of industrial history nearby, and it is part of a renovation project, Castleford project, I think. So it is a very interesting activity. It shows that human impact doesn't always have to be negative. This old mining site has been transformed into a thriving local ecosystem. This is a good example that you can explore using your maps. And I will show you, I'm going there now with you, back here. So another way we can find these places here, we can just go and type and search for places in the map. And I'm looking for Fryston Park. That is the one I was showing you before. And I'm zooming in. So that is the Fryston Park. That has always been a park, and that was part of a state. And with time, it was modified a little, lost the woodlands, and the city grew to the edges of the park, but the park has always been there. This area here, let me zoom a little more. The New Fryston area, that is where you will have all this water here that used to be used for the mining complex. So if I go back in time, there is an inn here and not much around. But if I go to 1950s instead of 1890s, the collieries are here already, and I can see water where there wasn't before, as you can see here. And I can see that the place was used for industrial. So there is a sewage here, and I can see how the place transformed positively with time. And now it is kind of amusement area, and they have educational centers for wildlife preservation and lots of interesting things going on there. So that is a good example of wildlife preservation in local area. Still for a secondary classroom, in class, Students can carry out more analytical tasks. They might compare two contrasting locations, for example, their school area and a local park, and use drawing tools to mark areas of high and low vegetation. Encourage them to use evidence. What do they notice from the aerial imagery? How much land use shape biodiversity? They can then use the measuring tool to calculate habitat sizes and evaluate which species offer the best opportunities for wildlife. Sorry, which spaces offer the best opportunity for wildlife. And taking this work outside, you can bring geography and science together beautifully. Students can conduct short habitat surveys, noticing plants, types, litter, or visible species, and link these observations to their Digimap data. Challenge them to identify gaps in green networks and propose ideas for a biodiversity corridor to connect habitats. This builds problem solving and communication skills while showing how real geographers and ecologists work to balance urban growth and natural conservation. Think about your own teaching. Where could mapping biodiversity fit in? Could it link to a science investigation or geography field work? Could you combine it with an outdoor learning project? You might even revisit the same map area in different seasons and track how habitat changes. And you can use all the tools we have available to promote that investigation. So help students become mini ecologists who understand their place in the local ecosystem. Share your knowledge with the students and let them run with it and let them go and explore by themselves. You can make drawings, you can create your own map in Digimap for schools, and you can play with it so that your students can understand and visualize what we are discussing, what we are talking about, not just listen. So I have here a few resources I put together, some interesting websites I found that will have learning resources and activities you can use in conjunction with Digimap for schools. Most important, you can also use Digimap for schools to explore using our learning resources. So we have here a beautiful page of learning resources. We have over 138 and it's growing. We already have a few coming, including two resources, one for primary, one for secondary in local habitats. So you have here primary ideas, secondary ideas. Let me show you all of them. When you open, you have your resource here, a river journey, focus on rivers, and you can even search. So a quick search, if I'm studying rivers, so I can have a focus on rivers, a river journey, and when I click on those, I have a PDF and a document that you can open and change to comply with what you want to teach your students. So we have very good resources that you can just take from the shelf and use with your students here. And so that's pretty much it. We have more training sessions coming. So in our page here, you can look at the next training events. So that is the one today. After today, on the 11th of November, we have getting started with Digimap for schools, analyzing climate change and with Digimap for schools as well. That's what I wanted to show you today. Thank you very much for coming to the training. Thank you very much for attending, and I hope to see you in our next training sessions.